welcome to MDL Crochet for this tutorial on the Grumpy Granny Shawl. This is a very beginner-friendly shawl. It is done with 2 stitches, basic decreases, and I show you everything you need to know. We have simple stitch, and then we have the Tunisian lace stitch. And on our sides as well, we have our Tunisian simple stitch. This project was done with a 2-weight yarn, Big Twist Supernova, colorway Terraforming. It is a 2-weight. It is a fine 2-weight or sport. Now I used 1,575 yards, which is approximately 3.5 cakes or 1,440 meters. It does measure across the top at 80 inches or 203 centimeters, and as from top to bottom it measures 50 inches or 127 centimeters. I did this shawl with a 6.5 millimeter cabled Tunisian crochet hook. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I've already pulled up my chain of 320 chains or 80 inches or 203 centimeters. Now we need to start our foundation row. So the way you're going to start your foundation row is, as we always do in Tunisian, is the back bumps. And you're going to use the second chain from your hook. The loop on your hook does not count. However, the chain that the loop is coming out of is chain 1, and then the very next chain is chain 2. I know it is a little hard to see because of the color of the yarn, but this is a 2-weight yarn. But you'll just put your hook through the back bumps, yarn over, and pull up your loop. And you're going to do that all the way down. And then we're going to start our return pass. And with the return pass is when we're going to start our decrease for this shawl. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up all my loops on this chain of 320. And go ahead and count, because you need to make sure your count is always right. So go ahead and count and when you get them all up, and then we'll come back and we will start our decrease, and we will start our pattern for Grumpy Granny. I'll see you in just a second. So now that you have all your loops on your hook and you've counted to make sure you're correct, we're going to start our decrease immediately. But we're going to start with doing our standard return pass. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through 3. 1, 2, and 3. That is our decrease. We're doing our decrease on our return pass. So now you're going to continue all the way down until we get to the other side, and then we're going to do another decrease there. So I'm going to go ahead and continue doing a standard return pass, which is yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 till you get close to the end. And I will show you how we're going to continue with that decrease. So I'll see you here in just a moment. Now that we have 3 loops left on our hook, we're going to go ahead and go through 1, and then yarn over and go through the last 2 together. That's how we're decreasing this row. Now this all counts as your side stitch. So we're going to do a row of simple stitch, and you're just going to go ahead and pull up your simple stitch like you would, bypassing that one that's together there, because now that is no longer. So go ahead and pull up all your simple stitch all the way down, and then on the return pass we will do the exact same thing we did on the return pass below. And you're going to be doing that for every row. You're going to be stitching through 2 each time, and that's how we do our decrease on each end. And when we get to the other side, I will go ahead and I'll come back and we'll show you how to do it again. And we'll do this for a total of, we'll do simple stitches for a total of 5 rows, and then we're going to get into the main pattern of the shawl. So go ahead and pull up your simple stitches. I'll meet you at the end and on the so we can start the return pass together. I'll see you in just a moment. So we're about to the end of our to our second row, because our foundation row for this pattern is counting as row 1. And when you come up to where you did your yarn over through 2 and you simple stitch 2 together, well, that's now 1 stitch. So you're going to treat it as 1 stitch and pull up a simple stitch into it, and then do your standard end stitch. And then you're going to yarn over and pull it up. Now we're going to yarn over, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 3. Got to pull through that. That's 1. There's 2, and there's 3. That's how we're doing our decrease on both sides. So, and then you're going to, after you do that, then it's a yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 all the way down till you get close to the end, and then I'll be back and we will see how to do that again so you can continue doing this. Now we've got to do a total of 5 rows of Tunisian simple stitch before we can move into the pattern. So continue with your return pass, and I will meet you at the beginning before we finish off the return pass. I'll see you in just a second. All right, so I'm coming up to the last few right now, and remember, we have these 2 left on here, so we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through 3. That is our decrease. So this now is just 1 full stitch, which is our edge. So you're going to skip it and go into the next, and then do simple stitches all the way down. And then we'll come back for the return pass where we decrease on that side. So this will be our 3rd row that we're doing. We have 2 more to do after this of simple stitches. So I will see you here in just a moment when we get down to the end. Alright, so we're coming up on the end here. And again, we just treat these as 1 stitch. So you're going to go through it, yarn over and pull up that loop, and then do your edge stitch. And then we chain 1, and then yarn over and pull through 3. That's 1, there's 2, and there's number 3. And then a standard return pass. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You're going to do that all the way down to the end. And then we'll do the opposite sides decrease, and then start row 4 of our 5 rows of simple stitch. So I'll see you all here in just a moment. So we're coming up towards the end of our return pass. Remember, with these last 2, we yarn over it and we're going to go through 3. The 3 loops on our hook. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. And now we're going to do another row of simple stitches. So continue with your simple stitches. There's all the way down, and these 2 count as 1 stitch, so you'll ignore those. And you'll just do simple stitches until we get to the other side and at the return pass, and I'll come back at the return pass so we can walk through the decrease again. So I'll see you all in just a second. So now we're closing through. So now we're coming up onto the end of this row. Do your normal end stitch, and then we're going to do our decrease like we've been doing. And our decrease is a yarn over, which is a chain 1 for right there. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through 3. So we're pulling through the loop that we made, which is our chain, and then we are pulling through the 2 more actual stitch loops. So yarn over and pull through 3. And then you're going to just do a standard return pass. So it's yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way down to the end, and then we'll do our decrease on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and continue doing my return pass. We'll get to the other end and we'll do the decrease there, and then we'll be starting our last row of simple stitches. So I'll see you in just a moment. All right, so now we're coming up to our last stitches on the return pass, and then since we have 2 loops left on our hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So we'll do our decrease. Now this counts as 1 stitch, so we're going to go in. These 2 count as 1 stitch, so we're going to go into the very next one with a simple stitch, and this is our last row of simple stitch. So continue pulling up all your simple stitches, and I will meet you at the end before we start our return pass for this row, so we can do the decrease there. So I will see you in just a second. All right, so we're finishing up the last few stitches now, and remember, the decreases just count as 1 stitch. And then we'll do our edge stitch, yarn over, pull up that loop, and now we're going to start our return pass, which is a chain 1, and now we're going to do our decrease, so that's yarn over and go through 3, so that's 1, 2, and 3, and then a standard return pass, so yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, repeating that all the way down till we get ready to do the decrease on the other side, and I will meet you there. So we are finishing up our 5th row of Tunisian simple stitches, and we're going to go start going into the actual pattern of this shawl. So I will see you there in just a moment. Alright, I'm coming up on the last few stitches now, and what we're going to end up doing is, again, we're going to do our decrease here on the edge. And remember, once we decrease, these 2 stitches become 1. So we'll yarn over and pull through 3 loops. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And again, these 2 have just became 1 stitch. So now we need to do 5 simple stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to do the next stitch, which is the Tunisian lace stitch. I'll be putting a link for it right here for you if you need a refresher. But you'll yarn over, so that yarn over, we're skipping this stitch, and then we're going into the next as a knit. And then we're going to yarn over, which means we're skipping, and we go into the next as a knit. We yarn over. When you yarn over, you're skipping a stitch, and you're going into the next as a knit stitch. Again, yarn over, that means we're skipping, going into that next as a knit, pulling that up, yarn over, skipping, and going into a knit for that next stitch. You'll continue doing this all the way down until you have 5 stitches left. And when we get down there, I will show you how we're going to handle that. So continue doing your Tunisian lace stitch, and I will show you how we're going to do the other side. I'll see you when we get there in just a moment. All right, so now we're towards the end, and we need to keep 5 stitches up. That's not going to be part of our Tunisian lace pattern. The edge stitch does not count. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we just did our end lace stitch here, which is our knit for that. So we need to skip this one to yarn over. And since we're going straight into this one, we're going to do it as a simple stitch. And we need to do 5 simple stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we do our edge stitch, And then we got to, on the return passes for every row, the return pass handles our decreases. Our decrease on each side, one on this side and one on the other side, at the beginning and at the end. So we just pulled up our loop, so we need to chain one, and then we're going to yarn over and do our decrease, which is 3. We got to go through 3 loops, so there's 1, 2, and 3, and then standard return pass. So you yarn over and go pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way down until we get ready to do to the decrease on the other side. And I will meet you there in just a moment. All right, we're coming up to the last few stitches and our decrease. These are our 5 simple stitches we did. And then we're about to do our decrease right now. So that's a yarn over and pull through 3. And again, the 2 that we just stitched together with the decrease, that is now 1 stitch, which becomes our edge stitch. So this one you don't do anything with. So we need to pull up 5 simple stitches, because that's what we're going to be doing. It's 5 simple stitches and then the lace stitch, and then 5 simple stitches and then the end stitch, and then do our return pass, which the return pass has our decreases, which we've been going over. Now we'll pull up 5 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the first 4 will be in line with the first 5 we did, and then our 5th one will be that yarn over that we did in the beginning. You'll just simple stitch that yarn over because it is a stitch, and then we're going to go straight into our knit, and then we do a yarn over and knit again. And now that we have a row done, it is easier to see where to go because you could see the knit stitches just sticking out now. And that's where you're going to be going. Just don't forget to yarn over and then go into them as a knit, yarn over and go into them as a knit. This is no offsets for this stitch at all. Yarn over and go into it as a knit, and you'll do that all the way down until you have your last 5 stitches up. And I'm going to show you how to handle that, and we'll do a few rows of this, and then we'll set it off to be able to go on your own and finish the shawl project, and we'll come back towards the end of it. But go ahead and do your Tunisian lace stitch, yarn over and go into the knits as a knit, and you'll again do that all the way down to the last 5 stitches, and I'll show you how we can tell where we're going to end up, and I'll see you there in just a moment. So now we're getting close to the end, and we need to know where we need to stop so we can start doing our simple stitches. So we need to count 5 stitches, and remember, the 2 that we stitched together on the return pass count as 1 stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to stop at this yarn over. So we'll just do a yarn over and get there, and then do the knit, and we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we go straight into our simple stitches. We don't need to do a yarn over because there's no stitch we're losing right here, because this yarn over was for the missing stitch down here. So now we're just putting a simple stitch through it, so we're not losing a stitch. So there's 1, there goes 2, 3, 4, and then we go through these 2, there's 5, and then we do our end stitch, now we start our return pass. So we're going to chain 1, yarn over, and then pull through 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then it's a standard return pass. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're coming up on the last few stitches, and we will do our decrease like we have been doing, which is with the last 2 loops on our hook. We'll yarn over and then pull through 3, and then we're going to pull up 5 simple stitches. Remember that these 2 are now 1, which is our edge stitch, so that we don't do anything with our edge stitches. So we need to pull up 5 simple stitches. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there goes 4, and our 5th one will be that knit stitch from the row prior. And now that we got our knit, we have a yarn over here, so we need to yarn over it, follow the sequence from the row below with the stitch, which is right after that simple stitch. It is a yarn over, and then we go into the knit as a knit, yarn over, knit into the knit, and continue that sequence until we get down to the end and your last 5 stitches. I'm going to show you how we'll handle that, and then we'll do one more row after this, and then we'll go off and work on your shawl. Sorry, the yarn split right there. And then we'll go off, you can work on your shawl, doing your decreases on the return pass and paying attention to your first 5 stitches as simple stitches and your last 5 stitches as simple stitches. Come back right before we finish this row off and then do our return pass. I'll see you in just a second. So we're coming up on our end, so let's go ahead and count our 5 stitches that we need. And again, remember, when you go through 2 together like we have been for our decrease, they count as 1 stitch. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at this knit stitch, it needs to be, instead of a knit, it needs to be a simple stitch. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's just a simple. And then so 4 more simple stitches. That's 2, 3, 4. And remember, we go through these 2. And that makes 5. Do our end stitch. Sorry there, yarn got caught. There we go. And then we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through 3 loops on our hook. So 1, 2, and there's number 3. And then we'll yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 till we get to the end and do the end decrease there. And we'll come back right for that. And then we'll start the last row together before we go off camera to work on this. So I'll see you in just a second. Alright, so we're coming up on the last few stitches. Now remember, the last 2 loops, which we're about to do right now, is a yarn over, and you're going to go through all 3 that are on your hook. So 1, 2, 3. We just put all those 3 to get those 2 together, and now we need to do our 5 simple stitches. Of course, now that is part of our edge stitch. We don't mess with it now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our 5th stitch will be this yarn over. So every other row it'll be a yarn over, and the rows that aren't yarn over, it'll be the knit. And since we did the yarn over we have a knit right away, so we're going to go straight into the knit and then start the Tunisian lace again. So that's a yarn over and knits all the way in the same spot. So yarn over and put those in there as a knit, yarn over, pull up a knit stitch, and again do that all the way down until you have the last 5 stitches left, and we'll come back and we'll do that, and then the return pass, and then we can go off and work on this a lot more on your own, and then we'll come back and look at when we get closer towards the end of making this beautiful lace shawl. So I'll see you in just a moment. So we're close to the end, so let's go ahead and count our 5 stitches so we'll know where we need to start our simple stitch. Again, since these two are together, that counts as 1 stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That yarn over. So we just got to do a yarn over, knit, and with this yarn over, since we need it for our 5, it's a simple stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then these two get stitched together because they're technically 1 stitch, and then our edge stitch, and then we chain 1, and then we yarn over and pull through 3, 1, 2, and 3, so we can do our decrease, and then it's yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way down to the end. And remember on the other end to do your decrease, and then start your next row with your 5 simple stitches, and then your Tunisian lace, and then your 5 simple stitches on this side, and then your return pass. And the return pass is where we do our decreasing, so remember that. I'm going to go off camera and finish the shawl up, but remember the decreases are done on the return pass, and then when you do counting your 5 stitches, you have to count the yarn overs too, so that way they count as part of what you're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and go off camera and work this up, and I will see you all once we get done with it. Alright, so now we are getting close to being done here, and you're just going to continue with your rows and doing your decreases as we have been doing. And as soon as you get done with the main stitch, which is the Tunisian lace stitch, you're going to see where you'll start just doing simple stitches all the way across and decreasing at the same time. And then of course it's still standard decreasing like we have been doing, so go through 3, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, completing that until we get to the 2 left. We'll yarn over and go through the 3, and since these are still 1, I'm just going to keep doing it and doing our standard decreasing like we have been on the return pass. And then of course our end stitch, and sometimes the yarn doesn't want to cooperate, so, and it's just the rows. We're getting to where we're getting lower and lower, or fewer and fewer stitches on our hook. And as you notice, I went ahead and I took the cable off, and that's just for better maneuverability. But when you get that last stitch up, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 3, and then we're almost to where we will be done with this shawl. And of course, you're going to want to block it. And if you are using a natural fiber, you will block it a wet block. And if you are using a synthetic fiber like acrylic, you'll do a steam block. And chain 1, yarn over, pull through 3, 1, 2, and 3, yarn over, pull through 3. And that is done. You just chain your want, or however you're going to do it, and then just snip it off. Tighten it down and weave in your tails, and your shawl will be done. And once you weave in your tails, everything will become nice and smooth. And again, if you're going to want to block it, you'll wet block it for natural fibers, wool or cotton, and for acrylic, you're going to want to steam block it. But that is the tutorial for the Grumpy Granny Shawl. Again, just weave in your ends and you will be done. And the top part of your shawl, because it is simple stitch, will roll over. But you can steam block it or wet block it depending on your fiber, like I said. And your shawl will be ready for use. And this is a very beginner friendly shawl, and it is. So if you found this tutorial helpful, consider giving me a like and subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated. And leave me a comment. I do like to chit chat. But until next time, folks, keep stitching.